And suspended from the wings are some of the most exceptional pilots in air sports. In the week-long championships, their challenge is to fly a course each day as fast as possible. And the bigger your margin of victory, the more points you gain on your rivals. The 200 contenders for the 12th World Championships come from 38 countries. Defending his world hang gliding title is Guido Germann from Germany. At 24, this aspiring airline pilot is among the youngest of the 200 participants. The reigning European champion is Manfred Rümer of Austria. He's been close to victory in 3 previous World Championships thanks to his superb flying skills. Most memorably, in 1995, when the championships were held in Spain, Manfred lost out on the title on the final day of competition. The hometown favourite, that's Italy's Martin Cieck. From South America comes the Força Aérea Brasileira, the so-called Brazilian Air Force. Brazil's squad is the strongest team ever fielded by one country and has long been a major power in international hang gliding. Brazil's wing commander is the current leader of the World Hang Gliding Series, Betinho Schmitz. Hosting these World Championships is the small town of Sigiglio, 150 kilometers to the north of Rome and 50 kilometers east of Perugia, located in what's known as Italy's Green Heart, in the very center of Umbria. But whenever the pilots are off and flying, life in the piazza reverts to its sleepy summertime pace. The first days of the World Championships are marred by strong winds from the north. While just about all modern hang gliders are quite capable of reaching airspeeds in excess of 100 kilometers per hour in calm conditions, they do remain susceptible to headwinds. The higher these headwinds, the lower the glider's airspeeds. And if the headwinds are extremely strong, hang gliders come to a screeching halt. With winds exceeding the 50 kilometer per hour mark, the conditions on the first day of competition favor the latest generation of hang gliders, what are known as rigid wings. Johnny Carr from Brighton in the south of England is one of the rigid wing pilots. Aeroglyss belongs to the veteran American Brian Porter. It doesn't look too much like most other hang gliders at Monte Cucco, but it does qualify under the very strict rules of the sport's governing body, the FAI, that's the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale. It's one of 25 rigid wing hang gliders entered in a separate class. As Brian prepares for imminent takeoff, you can see the features that make his the ultimate in high-performance hang gliders. Rigid wings of considerable span, and even an aerodynamic capsule for the pilot. But despite all the high-tech exterior, Brian is still in a hang glider, which means that he's attached by harness to the wing. Most importantly, he's capable of foot launching, taking a running leap into the air. Hang glider pilots launch themselves 1,000 meters above the valley floor. That's 3,000 feet up. Then they aim to climb a further 2,000 meters. That's 2 miles high. This is day 4 of the competition, and in the high wind conditions, the rigid wings clearly outperform the traditional hang gliders, known as flex wings, and beat them to the finish line every time. Johnny Carr of Britain is the winner of Task 4 in the rigid wings class, and first in goal, that's the finish line, at Sigiglio. The British competitor, who took part in the first World Championships over 20 years ago, analyses his flight in the Swift.
I would say very, very difficult at the start and easy at the end. Well, I think I've done that about right this time, John.
Champion.
Yeah.
More than 15 minutes after Johnny, the local favourite and Italian champion Christian Chiek approaches the finish line. He's one of the first flex-wing pilots, but the high winds force him to land short of the finish by a mere 20 metres. By not crossing the finishing line, Christian loses so many points that he'll virtually drop out of contention. Those pilots that do make it to goal are exhausted after several hours aloft and a very difficult flight. Not surprisingly, Christian's disappointed by his finish. He says it's too bad, he could have crossed the line, and instead he made a mistake. So the standings after 4 rounds show 2 pilots from the Brazilian Air Force in the lead, with Alan Barnes of Britain 3rd, Manfred Rumer of Austria 6th. In the rigid wing class, the swift pilot Johnny Carr closing the gap on Truckman of Switzerland and Kratzmer of Germany. For the next task, a massive convoy sets off to the launch site with 200 pilots, their support crews and the championship staff. The vehicles snake up the mountain with their loads of people and equipment to the top of Monte Cucco. The pilot's briefing confirms that the conditions for flying on day 5 have improved vastly. The northerly winds have finally died down. Task 5 will make for excellent flying in both classes. The championship director briefs the competitors on today's route. After passing the start gate, it's 55 kilometers due south to Monte Serrano, the first turning point. Then it's on to Assisi, famous for St. Francis of Assisi, then back to the goal in Sigiglio. The total distance 115 kilometers, about 70 miles. Now, the wind conditions might not favor the Brazilians, but they have established an impressive lead on points.
Today seems to be like more an Austrian day, because they like to fly on very strong conditions, and I think they are favored for this day. Maybe they win the day, but also we have a long advantage now. It's very nice to have it.
Andre Wolf's outlook on what day 5 may bring, and the Brazilians among the first pilots to take off. The current leader, Pedro Matos, is more confident about the Brazilian prospects. Pedro says that the Brazilian team came here to excel as a team. They've got a very united team. They fly together, they support each other. For Brazil, the team standings are the first priority. Austria's Manfred Rumer, under his red and yellow wing, number 9, takes off. And a few minutes later, off goes Gerard Thévenot of Luxembourg, a top wing designer as well as a leading pilot.
What I'm going to try and do is go with the very fastest guys, so I'm in a strong gaggle of pilots all the way round.
Alan Barnes of Britain changing position for launching.
I've got a bad leg and I can't take off with no wind, so I need to
start?
No problem.
Despite his bad foot, Barnesy is off, one of the last pilots to leave Monte Cucco for Task 5 for a flight over 115 kilometers. You're watching the 1999 World Hang Gliding Championships in Italy, and as predicted, the conditions are perfect for cross-country flying. They're what are referred to as strong. Now, this is Nikki Hamilton, the woman pilot, representing Ireland, and here she is in the first thermal, the column of warm and rising air which pilots use to climb. Height is vital, so the first lift of the day can make or mar a race. And Nikki approaches the start gate, where she has to take a photo to prove that she got underway correctly. After taking the required picture, she flies south to Monte Serrano, takes a second photo as she turns, proving that she flew round the first marker, that's a TV transmitter, and then it's off to Assisi. Some pilots have already reached Assisi. That's some 80 kilometers, 50 miles into today's task. And while thousands of pilgrims and tourists visit the town, guided by the Franciscan monks, hang glider pilots are searching for yet another thermal, high above the St. Francis Cathedral. Once again, Britain's Johnny Carr leads the way. He's first across the line with his rigid wing, so aptly named the Swift. But But today the flex wings are close on Johnny's heels. The first one to make it to goal is glider number 12, piloted by Gerolf Heinrichs, one of the new wave of talented young Austrians.
Good fly today. Very nice condition.
Not far behind Heinrichs is Manfred Rumer, who crosses the line, and Manfred has taken a later start time than Gerolf.
Yeah, was good today. Very good day. Excellent, good task. One of the best in this comp.
Among the pilots making goal on day 5 is the Japanese Itagaki Naoki. Flying the whole task of 115 kilometers in 3 or more hours is exhausting. So there's a great deal of satisfaction to be derived from going the full distance. Itagaki may be tired, but the Japanese pilot is also extremely elated.
Yatta! Yatta!
And the results show that this was, as forecast, a very Austrian day. Manfred Rumer beating Gerolf Heinrichs to the line by 15 minutes, but Gerolf only seconds ahead of the Brazilian Air Force. No surprise in the overall standings, Manfred Rumer moving up from 6th to 3rd behind the Brazilians, Wolf and Matos. But the pilot's day is far from over. After the task and after getting back to the championship headquarters, they have to file their flight reports and hand in their roll of film as proof that they've completed the task as required. Those who landed out, who didn't make it all the way to goal, have to mark their landing positions on the map with small flags bearing their glider number. The exposed films are immediately developed and the negatives examined carefully. Before posting the results, officials have to verify that each pilot has taken all the required pictures, including the task board, his glider, the start gate, and all the turning points. On to day 7, and its cameras ready for the next race, the 7th task of the 1999 World Championships. The teams prepare their strategies, and the global positioning systems need to be programmed for yet another flight. The big threat is Austria's Manfred Rumer, who's gearing up for the next assault. After taking off from Monte Subasio, the pilots will have to go south to Monte Serrano, turning 180 degrees after 30 kilometers to head north to Mocaina, the second turning point before their final glide to goal at Sigilio. All that on a day when conditions are difficult.
It could be quite difficult today, even at the start. And I think what we'll see is Gaggles struggling to stay up to get high enough to take their start photo.
Dali. Rapidinho.
Getting off the Monte Subasio as fast as possible seems to be on Guido German's mind. Manfred Rumer's not wasting any time either, and is the first one to launch. The other contenders will most likely follow right away. Britain's Alan Barnes is having difficulties with his launch because of that sore leg. Defending world champion Guido German of Germany is off and underway. And Pedro Matos of Brazil's not delaying his launch much longer. He'll want to keep an eye on Manfred and the other Austrian pilots. Everyone is taking off now and heading towards the thermal just south of the launch site on Monte Subasio. But the pilots are struggling to gain the necessary altitude for the first leg. Today, however, the sun's simply not heating the soil enough through that layer of clouds, so the thermals are not developing. Some pilots are losing altitude rapidly, and many of them will probably have to come down. Once the decision is taken to abort and land, the pilots look for a nice open field, preferably one with easy access to a road. Now they're coming down everywhere, and their scores will reflect their failure to climb at the start of the task. Only 55 of the 200 pilots get a decent start and push on towards goal. After Sandy Dittmar and American James Lee cross the line, it's the Italian Christian Siek. Christian's followed by the number 9, Manfred Römer, coming in spectacularly low. Stop! Stop! Some of the other favourites are also low. They're all coming in at high speeds with the wind at their back. So they have to resort to a brake parachute to slow them down for a safe landing. It's tricky but exhilarating. Guido looking forward to this right from the launch, crossing low at a high speed. He says that's what the flight's all about. Andre Wolf of Brazil is exhausted. Nevertheless, he radios his teammates, giving them the conditions at goal and some advice.
Most important for us is the team, actually, because we believe Manfred is going to win. So we are doing for the team against Austria. So the most important is the team. After that comes the individual.
The Task 7 results, just 13 seconds between Dittmar and Lee of the USA, while Martin Cziek's third place gives the home crowd something to shout about. And in the overall standings, Manfred Römer has moved into first place. The pilots preparing their gliders for day 8. Now, surprisingly, it doesn't take long to rig a flex-wing hang glider, no more than 10 minutes at most. The beginner's hang glider costs about £2,000 sterling. For competitions, they are double that. But it's not just the glider that needs preparing. Pilots carry sophisticated flight instruments and other more vital accessories, such as a GPS, global positioning system.
Instruments to give us the altitude, a GPS to give us the direction where we have to go when we are in the zone where we do not know very well the place. And the main one is a variometer, which tells us if we go up or if we go down. As we do not have any engine, it's very important. The game is to find a place where the wind is going up, and then we go up with the wind, and then we glide to the next one. So the variometer is very important.
Yesterday, I had half of this one in my harness, and halfway I felt so tired, I just stopped in the light thermal and took my sandwich out and ate my sandwich so I could get energy to keep flying.
The devil is in the detail. When your flying ability is the same as your rivals, it could all come down to who has the better preparation. Pietro Bacchi saying that this holds true for task number 8. It's very important, and he's given 2 different tasks for the 2 different classes. The takeoff is from Monte Cucco, and the first turning point is Trevi. The second turning point is down at Mocaino, with the goal at Sigiglio. The overall distance, 132 kilometers, that's about 80 miles. The winds light to moderate from the south. Perfect conditions. The horn horn signaling the opening of the window. From now on, the pilots are allowed to launch.
La fenêtre est ouverte, ouais. Ouais, mais je vais pas y aller tout de suite quand même.
So Richard saying the window's open, but he won't go right away. He prefers to wait a little and watch the others. By contrast, Alan Barnes of Britain wants to launch very early, and he's ready to go. Off he goes. Manfred Römer of Austria is playing cat and mouse. He's adopted a different strategy, letting virtually all his rivals launch before joining in. He's obviously in no hurry.
Everybody will have different tactics because it's a very long flight, and so depending on how you're doing the competition, you risk everything or you don't. It all depends.
At last, Manfred has decided the moment has come and prepares to launch. And after a good luck kiss, Römer's close rival also sets off. Brazil's Andre Wolf also taking to the sky. And now it's high time for everybody to get off Monte Cucco. The configuration of the start gate is just about to be changed for the last time. The pilots will have to take a picture of this huge white T from above in order to start the clock for their flight. The 200 gliders flying above central Umbria makes a pretty picture, but also creates quite an aerial traffic jam. They're all taking the same routes, following the ridges and the updrafts which spiral above them. The last turning point for Task 8 is another cathedral. And again, a picture must be taken to confirm the proper completion of the route. On to the final glide to the goal in Sigiglio, where the officials are looking out for the first pilots. The first one arrives, and it's Gérard Thévenot, the talented pilot-cum-designer from Luxembourg. The second pilot home, Austria's Manfred Römer.
Tempo 18, 12, 35.
The fourth man to cross the line, Brazil's Andre Wolf.
Not easy to get here. Really, it was really amazing. Nice flying. It was very good.
Yeah, I'm quite happy. One more day and then it's over. We see, but I think tomorrow is the weather will be similar, so we will have a nice flight again.
The results of Task 8 show how close it was. The first three pilots separated by only 6 seconds after a total flying time of over 4 hours. Quite astonishing. This is day 9 of the World Championships, and all the hang gliders are set up and the pilots are going through their final preparations. But Manfred Römer's forecast regarding today's weather and conditions for flying was very inaccurate. Once again, winds from the north have set in. They're stronger than ever. The FAI officials are monitoring the wind speeds, and frankly, with winds like this, there's only one option: cancellation. The official announcement confirms the cancellation of the last task, so Brazil tops the team standings to win the title ahead of Britain, who took a surprising second place. Manfred Römer is the 1999 FAI World Hang Gliding Champion, and he receives the recognition that probably matters most to him: the congratulations of his fellow pilots. Confirmation of that 2-3-4 finish by Andre Wolf, Pedro Matos and Betinho Schmitz, members of the Brazilian Air Force, a force to be reckoned with. And in the rigid wing class, it's Christoph Kratzner of Germany ahead of Johnny Carr of Britain.